Hello person who clicked on this video. Today I've made time in my busy schedule of procrastinating to convey the thoughts in my brain to your brain pertaining to the show that is Fate the Winx Saga. Disclaimer, this video is just my opinion based on the first episode, because I couldn't be bothered to watch more. Guess that already says a lot about what I think. I did, however, watch other people's videos to catch up on the plot. I definitely recommend Modern Girl's video on it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So like many my age, I grew up watching the Winx Club. This does make me kinda biased, but as I understand it, the reboot was meant to be targeted to people exactly in my position. It's meant to be for the people that loved Winx Club growing up, but have now become older and aren't necessarily into bright saturated shows with transforming magical girls and wholesome love stories. But that's where they went wrong. Just kidding. I just happen to still like that stuff. But Netflix's thinking isn't backwards in making something with a darker tone. The problem lies in the execution. Before getting into things, I'll briefly explain the premise of the old Winx Club and the reboot. The original show follows the story of Bloom, a girl who finds out she is a fairy after being attacked and gets whipped away to another planet called Magix to attend a school for fairies, Althea. Here she befriends 4 other fairies, Stella, Flora, Musa and Tecna, with the addition of Aisha, or Layla, in Season 2, for a total of 5 girls, 6 including Bloom. These girls fight baddies from different places, the main antagonists being the Tricks, a group of 3 witches attending the nearby witch school Cloud Tower. They get help from the specialists who go to another school for guys without magic. These guys end up being their boyfriends. Fate the Winx Saga is frankly nothing like the original cartoon. The only similarities are their names, kind of, well not really, and their powers, kind of, well not really. It follows Bloom again, who finds out she is a fairy by burning down her house this time. She's sent to Althea College without her parents knowing she's magic. Here she meets the other girls, Stella, Flora, I meant Terra, Musa and Aisha. Only it's not them. Firstly, my favourite, Stella, who was originally a somewhat spoiled princess, but a great friend who loves people for who they are, was turned into a jealous bitch with mummy issues. Next, Flora, who I know was a lot of people's favourite girl, became Terra. But her cousin is Flora. Flora is a nerdy girl with a love for plants. Terra is an annoyingly insecure plant enthusiast. Now the biggest issue people have is the whitewashing, but I'm going to talk about that separately. Terra is also plus size, which I will also address separately. Next is Aisha, Fairy of Waves, or water now I guess. Original Aisha is super sporty and loves dancing. New Aisha is also really sporty. She makes sure to tell you how much she swims, for the first episode at least. She also turns into Bloom's mum basically. Next, Musa, Fairy of Music. Except no, she's not, she reads your mind. I don't know what to say about her, I guess she doesn't do much. Finally, Tecna, or the lack of Tecna. Tecna is gone, probably because the makers of the reboot weren't as creative as the original people who made Winx, who found a way to combine magic and technology. There's none of that in Fate, except for stupid Instagram. Of course, our main girl Bloom is different too. We learn she is a changeling, a fairy swapped with a human at birth, and as far as I know, she's no longer the fairy of the dragon flame, but just regular fire. But she's also super overpowered. Now, old Bloom doesn't exactly have a personality in the cartoon since she's meant as a self-insert, so that hasn't changed. Now she's just a not like other girls girl. The baddies for this show seem to be the burned ones, some kind of burnt humanoid monsters. Also, instead of Icy, Darcy and Stormy of the Tricks, we get one girl, Beatrix, who represents all of them. I think this is kind of dumb, but I can't really tell you why. After shitting on all the characters, I'm going to talk about more general things now. Starting with positive, since I've been such a negative Nancy. The most positive change from the cartoon is that fairies are no longer just girls and specialists are no longer just boys. Boys can be fairies and use magic, and girls can be specialists and fight in hand-to-hand combat. Well, that's it. That's all the good things I have to say. Well, not exactly. There's some things I'm neutral about, like the fairies and specialists going to one school instead of separate schools. I don't know how to feel about that. Or the fact that Bloom is the only one with an American accent. Everyone else has a British accent. It's super obvious, but it does show in a plain way how Bloom is different to everyone else and doesn't fit in. Now to be critical again. Let's not dilly-dally, there is blatant whitewashing in Winx Saga. This goes for Flora, or Terra, and Musa. If you weren't aware, all the Winx Club girls are based off of different real-life celebrities, and in turn, they have their characteristics, including skin color. Additionally, all the girls come from different planets based on different cultures, making them overall diverse. Flora is supposed to be Latina and Musa is supposed to be Chinese. This is clear as day, yet in Winx Saga they are both white or white passing. I don't understand how they managed to cast a beautiful dark-skinned girl for Aisha, but neglected to look for someone who could fulfill the roles of Musa and Flora like in the original. The diverse nature of the main girls was an aspect that attracted a lot of fans to the show. Small girls and boys could see someone on the screen, a brave superhero who looked like them and they could identify with. Some argue they didn't notice the race of the characters and simply chose a favorite based on other criteria, like magic or clothes. I admit I belong to this group. As a smaller child, I didn't look at the skin color of the girls and more at their personality and powers. Nevertheless, there are people who saw a heroine that looked like they did and identified with them because of that. To take that away not only from the viewers, but the actresses that could have had a chance to portray these characters. There is no shortage of pretty white girls in Hollywood who get plenty of chances for roles. Giving them a role obviously belonging to someone else is unfair. Continuing, Terra is a plus-size girl. On its own, there is nothing wrong with this. The problem is it comes across as if the body positivity aspect is a replacement for the fact that they changed her race. Like, you can be fat regardless of your race, it's just a body type. They could have casted a bigger Latina girl if they wanted to bring in the body positivity aspect as well. I heard that the reason her name was changed to Terra is because fans were upset about exactly this, and Netflix tried to cover it up by changing the name from Flora to Terra. I've been ranting for a while, so let's go on a tangent for a short while with minor annoyances. Like how the very first line in the show, I kid you not, is "fucking sheep." I could not believe my ears and almost died laughing. Like, it's supposed to be all dark and serious and then you just hear the line. Or like how it took me until they actually said how old they are to realize how old they are. And then I didn't believe how old they are. They're supposed to be 16, apparently, but for some reason they look like middle-aged mums, especially Stella, which makes me sad. This leads me to my next big segment, the outfits and fashion. In short, it's horrendous. It's dark and drab with none of the bright colors from the cartoon. They're dressed nothing like teens. The fashion in Winx Club was always so important. It was even designed by famous fashion designers, and a big part of the show was the girls' outfits. Netflix had such a good opportunity to dress the girls in a similar way to the original cartoon, since the 2000s style is coming back. I think the fans would have loved to see that, especially the bright colors, even without the transformations. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in Winx Saga, there are no transformations, which is a whole thing in itself, but I'm not going to get into it. But just know I am very upset about it. Instead, we got boring, colorless, old people clothes. The argument is that because it's a darker tone and more edgy, the colors are dark too. But this argument is silly, because it is possible to make a dark-themed show even with bright colors and costumes. I guess they don't have much faith in their writing either. Also, the colors they chose for the girls are all wrong. Dressing Bloom in all red just because she's a fire fairy? Bloom's color was always blue, and it contrasted great with her red hair. Stella was orange, but now she's, well, I don't know what color. Aisha was green, and now she's blue or something. Musa was red, and now she's purple, which caused people to think that she was Tekna at first, because that was her color. Finally, Flora, who was pink, is now brown or so? Not to mention the fit. Honestly, I'm tired of people not giving plus-size people properly fitted clothes, because there is nothing nice about the way they dressed poor Terra. Big girls have curves too, and they can be accentuated, but instead the curves are covered with a sack. For the final segment, I want to talk about the boys. Sky, Brandon, Timmy, Riven, Helia, and Naboo were the original boyfriends. As far as I can tell, only Sky and Riven are in the new show. Originally, Sky and Brandon changed identities because Sky wanted to pretend not to be the Prince of Heraklion for a while. This way, Stella ended up with Brandon thinking she was a prince, and Bloom and Sky got together. Taking Brandon away changed a lot. First of all, it was a way to show Sky's personality, that he wanted to get away from his dad and didn't want to rule the kingdom. It was also important for Stella since she ended up falling in love with Brandon even though he wasn't a prince, and really showed that she cared. In the new show, I feel like they made Stella into a kind of diaspora trying to get with Sky because they used to be together. Overall, I think it's plain to see that I do not like Fate the Winx Saga. It's basically a completely different show to the original Winx Club cartoon. The characters are different, the powers are different, the bad guys are different, it's a different show. I feel like if you watch the show without comparing it to the cartoon, it could be something that some people enjoy. It's a basic teen drama with a basic story. Anyway, thanks so much for watching and listening to my brain thoughts. I just really needed to talk about this show and decided to do this as soon as I heard the fucking sheep line. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want to see more videos, you can subscribe, and if you want to follow me on more social media I don't post on, then look in the description. Thanks again and have a good one. Bye bye!